This is Amy sitting at my kitchen table with my pans in the background, my cast iron collection. I decided to do a video about my Carnivore Books. This channel, Brisket Boomers, is for people, anybody can watch this channel, but it's called Brisket Boomers because I wanted to serve the baby boomers, or almost baby boomers, or a little bit older than baby boomers. I wanted to serve I'm not even going to call us anything. But anyway, I think we're a generation of readers, and I think we like to read. Obviously we like to watch YouTube videos too, but we like to read. And I've had several questions, like someone asked, is there just a book I can read to find out about the carnivore diet? Well, look how many I have, and they're not even all in the picture, but I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've got 11 books about carnivore. Come on. Jasper wants to come up. Come on, Jasper. Come on. Okay, so Jasper's here with me. So I've been looking. I'm not going to do this in any kind of order. I took them off my shelf today. They are ranging in dates of publication from 1888. I have to look at this. To, what would be the last one? Let's see when this one was written. I think a lot of them were like 2018. And I can't do this with my glasses off. 2020. So this one might be the youngest one. And maybe I'll do this one first. I'm just going to talk a little bit about them and give you the names of the author and the book. But a lot of them I read 5 years ago when I first started the carnivore diet. I first started the carnivore diet November 12, 2018. So this book, The Carnivore Code, is by Dr. Paul Salidino. And even though he is presently only animal-based, he's not a full carnivore anymore. He eats a lot of fruit and honey. So I don't follow him anymore, but the book was really good. I remember that. And I didn't go back and read these books so I could talk about them. I'm just telling you what I remember. But I think maybe the reason he was not able to stay totally carnivore, he had some health issues, and I don't blame, we're all on a journey and we're all trying to figure it out. But he separated himself from the rest of us because he was very, very, very strict in the beginning. I don't know if that has anything to do with why he had a lot of trouble, but he did. But there's a lot of really good information in this book, and it's still worth reading. Okay. I'm not going to have room for all this. Okay. The next book is the first carnivore cookbook. I've got two with the same exact title, but it's called The Carnivore Cookbook. The subtitle is Zero Carb Recipes for People Who Really Love Animals, and it's by Jessica Haggard. You can Google her and find her website, and it's a really, I think on Instagram she's called Primal Mom. It's a really good cookbook. It's got lots of good pictures. I like reading cookbooks. It's very inspiring, and the recipes are mostly easy, really good for people who are busy but want something different than just a burger, eggs and bacon, and a roast. I'm pretty happy eating that way, but This is really fun. It's fun to look at all the possibilities, and then you can decide. Like, I don't make a lot of different stuff, but it was good to know that I could if I wanted to. So, there we go. That one, Jessica Haggard. Jessica Haggard. I think all this is backwards to y'all, huh? Okay. Not by Bread Alone, by Steffansson. I'm not going to try to pronounce his first name. Vilhjalmur. Anyway, he was an Arctic explorer. I did read this book and I barely remember anything about it, but there's a list of books that he wrote, and it's like 20 books. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 for kids. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So 22 books altogether. This book was written in 1946, and it's interesting. I highly recommend reading this book. It's very inspiring. It talks about, so this guy explored in the Arctic in the early 1900s, and when he came back, he was telling people, and he wrote 20 books, so he told a lot of people a lot of stuff, but he was telling people about his all-meat diet that he did while he was with the Eskimos, or the people that lived around the North Pole. And when he told them about their all-meat diet, they didn't believe him. So they put him and another guy, someone who explored with him, in the hospital for, I think it was a year, so they could prove that the all-meat diet was healthy. And they actually did this, and the experiment's really interesting, and they were healthy at the end of the experiment, and it was pretty cool. But this is not by Bread Alone. It is the all-meat diet classic. So it's fun, and I think some of these older books that I have several old books because I love old books, and I like the viewpoint of when things were a long time ago. I have like 10 books about diabetes from way early on, before they had the discovery of insulin and all that kind of stuff. So I just like old books. But anyway, this is a really fun book and well worth reading. And Strong Medicine, which is the next book, by Blake Donaldson and Charles Gordon Heed, Heyd. I've heard of Blake Donaldson. This book was written in, I should just keep my glasses on because this is silly, I can't see. This book was written in 1961, so it's an older book, definitely older, but, oh, come on. You're disrupting my video. Come on. Okay, so this is pretty interesting, and this guy, Blake Donaldson, I mean, it's mostly him. I think the other guy was just helping him write it. It's about, he was a doctor, and he treated different diseases with the carnivore diet, and it's a really fun read, and it's pretty easy. And some of these older books this one's pretty good. This one is easy to read, and the pages aren't messed up or anything. So that one's pretty good. Okay, here's another old one. The Relation of Alimentation and Diseases by James Henry Salisbury. So I read this 5 years ago, and it's a fun read. Some of the pages are hard to read because it's just photocopies of a very old book. And there's no fun pictures at all. but it's a good read, and it's basically about, this guy was a doctor. Have you ever heard of Salisbury steak? Well, it was named after him because that's what he treated people with. He treated all kinds of diseases, obesity and disease and heart disease and all kinds. He did it by experimenting during the Civil War on sick soldiers, and he fed them different things and experimented, and finally figured out that the Salisbury steak, but you had to grind it fresh and then cook it. And I think you were allowed black coffee. I don't really remember, but it's definitely, if you want to do an extensive research, it's definitely necessary to read this, or at least check it out from the library, if you can get it from the library, and flip through it and read some of it. And some of it is not even readable. I mean, I'm remembering this because there are pages that are just not even there. This is pretty interesting, but there we go. Okay, and then this one is a little more interesting and definitely easier to read because it's nice big print and it's not just a photocopy. What Must I Do to Get Well, and How Can I Keep So, by Elma, Fraser, Stuart. And this woman, this book was written in, did I find this out and then I didn't write it down? I remember. So the Salisbury book was written in 1888. And this book by his protege was written in 1895, so only a few years apart. And this woman was extremely sick. She had early extreme chronic fatigue, basically, is what she had. She couldn't get out of bed. She couldn't cook for herself. So when she heard about the Salisbury steak guy, she got the help of a neighbor who would come over and cook her Salisbury steak, grind it and cook it, and buy it fresh every day, and fed her until she got well enough to feed herself. And so it's a pretty interesting read too, and it's a quick read because the print, I don't know if you can see it, but the print is really tiny. I mean big. The print's big, and so it's a fun read. All right, that's another copy of it. I have 2 copies of that book. I have no idea. I must have forgotten that I had read it and bought it again. It's crazy. Okay, here we go. The Carnivore Diet by Dr. Shawn Baker. Now, the Carnivore Diet was not called the Carnivore Diet until Shawn Baker named it. I did read in one of those earlier books that one of them called it Carnivorous, but Shawn Baker he wrote the book. The publisher had asked him to write the book, and he had to come up with a title, and that's when he decided to call it the Carnivore Diet. So that's what we've been calling it all this time. And this book was written, I'm sure it will say, and I had forgotten to look at this when I was looking at my stack, 2019. So I loved this book. It's an easy read, but it has all the information you need. It's got history. It's got plant toxins. It's got what about this disease or that disease. It has stories of early carnivores who, it's a good book. It does not have, I don't think it might have a few recipes, but it's mostly for, just to show you that this is a really good diet, and why. So it's definitely, if you're going to be a carnivore, you got to read this book. It's awesome. And a lot of my friends from Instagram are mentioned in this book. He tells stories of earlier carnivores. And I mean early, like, they started when I did. All right. The Dietitian's Dilemma by Michelle Hurn. Now, is a dietitian. She worked in a hospital, and she got sick. She is a runner, and she was feeling really bad, and she had to figure it out. And I haven't looked at this book for a few years. This was written in, I hope it says, well, it must have been like 2020. I don't remember, and I can't see the date. Yeah. I mean, it's a self-published book, so she didn't follow that rule of, having to say when it was written. But it is definitely her story about the carnivore diet and why it works, and it's a very good book, and it tells stories throughout the book too of some people that I follow. And anyway, it tells the story of how someone who was working the system could get out of the system and follow a carnivore diet and be successful in it. And I think she eventually didn't eat carnivore for a while, and then she went back to it. But anyway, it's a very good book and well told and an easy read. Okay, The Carnivore Cure by Judy Cho. Y'all, I am drinking a cup of decaf while I'm talking to you. (2020). I did not realize that this is a signed copy. That's so cool. I had no idea. All right, awesome. Okay, so I like this book so much because you can look up anything you want a chart for, and she has made a chart for it. I've got all kind of stuff underlined and written down in here, but there's really, really good informational charts. I wish you could see better. If you want to look up what vitamins are in a certain kind of meat, it's in here. If you want to look up any kind of stuff, really great charts, and definitely a good resource book. If you want resources to show somebody or to convince somebody to try the carnivore diet, this is your book. The Ultimate Elimination Diet to attain optimal health and heal your body. It's definitely a need for a serious carnivore. And if you ever want to post something, if you post or use one of her charts, they're great charts. You can use them, but you have to give her credit. And they're great. There's a lot of really good information about different diseases and why the carnivore diet works and what nutrients are in each kind of meat. And it's packed full. It's not very entertaining because there's not really any stories, and I'm like a story fiend. I love stories, but it's really good and definitely worth having and reading. Okay. Oh, and beef liver. Like, there's a chart about beef liver. Anyway, I highly recommend this book. You gotta have it if you're thinking about being a carnivore. Okay, it's the last one. The Carnivore Cookbook, a complete guide to success on the carnivore diet with over 100 recipes, meal plans, and science. Maria Emmerich and Craig Emmerich. Okay. This is, I'm not going to say it's better than any of the other ones. It's just different. And I really like the pictures. Maria Emmerich's pictures of food are amazing. And if you ever want to be inspired to have something gourmet, something beautiful, something that tastes amazing, this is your book. I will tell you that how can you make oxtail look that good? I finally figured out how to show the pictures. The pictures are so beautiful. I love reading her cookbooks. They're gorgeous and they're fun to read, and I just read them. I don't do many recipes. I do a few, but not many, because I just like simple food. And Rossetti is, not Rossetti. You're not Rossetti. Jasper is moving around in my lap. But what I really like about this book is how she explains, wow, this is amazing, meatloaf cupcakes. Look at this picture. If you want gourmet carnivore, this is it. What I was going to say is what I really like is in the first section of the book. Let me see how long that section is before the recipes start. Yeah, you've got that much information. It's a small book. The way she explains why the carnivore diet works and how well it works, with some examples and some stories from some other people who wrote in their story. It's amazing, and it's well worth, this part is great. I'm sure it's the part that Craig probably wrote, but the recipes are amazing. And I can look at the pictures in the recipe section and just be happy and then cook my hamburger and bacon. It's true. There's a carnivore waffle, but this thing is really ground beef and eggs. And she tells you how to make a waffle out of it and then to use hollandaise sauce over it. It's so amazing. And I might look through this again and get some ideas for, when I get bored of my diet. So that's the Carnivore Cookbook, Maria and Craig Emmerich. I wish I could have done a live with this so y'all could have asked me questions as I was going. But anyway, those are I'm sure there's other ones, but those are the ones I have, and I'm still glad I read them all. I'm not really sure what else to say, but I think when I download this onto my channel, I will list the books in the comments. So maybe the description? I'll have to decide. They'll either be in the comments or in the description. But I will list the books so that you don't have to watch the video every single time you want to write down what book you want to read. So that's my video for today. And you guys, it's cold in my house. I've got all my layers on. I live in Maine. So what can I say? But you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. If you could like the video and then subscribe to my channel. That helps me, and soon I would be able to interview people and get some more information out here because of that. Because I got to have more people subscribed to be able to do a live. So anyway, I've really enjoyed doing this, and the next video I do will more than likely be specifically about the carnivore diet with type 1 diabetes. I've had several people ask me about how to treat diabetes on the carnivore diet, and there's even a Facebook group for that, but I'm going to try to talk about that in my next video, and that'll probably be at least a half hour. So that will more than likely be done next week. So thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Thanks. Bye.